I was living like a prisoner for about 11 years.
I don't think they realise that they actually do anything wrong. They think it's normal.
He was very controlling emotionally, physically, psychologically, financially, everything.
It wasn't a life, it was an existence.
Domestic abuse is a violent crime that strikes at the very heart of home and family, and one which many are too afraid to report, as it's often committed by someone they love.
I've spoken out about being the victim of sexual abuse, and I know what it feels like to be vulnerable and how hard it is to seek help. And that's why I support women who've suffered domestic violence, because no matter what the situation, abuse is never acceptable.
We've been given rare access into a women's refuge to speak to the victims who are bravely breaking the wall of silence that surrounds domestic abuse.
It's imperative that we don't give away the location of the refuge to make sure we protect the women in here. Their lives are at risk and they're in hiding. We can't even film the outside of the building or through the windows in case anything's recognisable.
Two women who fled with their children to this refuge tell me about the mental and physical abuse they endured at the hands of their partners.
What was it like living with your husband?
Well, he was very controlling. Not allow me to go outside, just to stay at home and cook. It was very difficult for me. I was crying many times, but trying to hide these emotions from the kids.
What physical things did he do to you?
I had broken ribs, black eyes. I also had an injury on my knee, which took months to heal and get better after being kicked with steel toe caps on.
He pushed me down on the floor 3 times, and the kids were screaming, and they said, "Don't stop what you're doing with my mom." I managed to run away from the house bare feet with the kids. I was screaming in the streets. I don't know where to go until a neighbor has heard me, and he opened the door for me, and he called the police. And that was the end.
But how hard is it though to leave a situation like that?
Very hard. You feel like you're breaking the family apart. You feel like it's your fault, and you know, if you leave, then you're robbing your daughter of her family life.
And what would you have done, do you think, if the refuge hadn't been here? How essential was it that the refuge was here for you?
I think I'd probably have lost my daughter and possibly my life.
There are 7 families currently staying in this refuge, with a total of 15 children.
In the playroom, it's the perfect place for the kids to come and escape. They've got toys and arts and crafts, but they're also encouraged to express their feelings. One child wrote, "If I was angry, I would scream into a pillow." It's heartbreaking to think that so many children are going through this.
Please do not love anyone violent like my mum did.
It's good to be in here because no one's out to get me.
I feel sad and annoyed.
Mel works at the refuge and gives me a tour. She explains why it's so important for it to feel as homely as possible.
We try to make it as warm and as welcoming as possible, because women come into the refuge basically from a traumatic incident, and you know, they basically come with what they stood up in.
How scary is that for the women?
It is very daunting. I know that myself because I accessed the refuge.
Mel was in an abusive relationship for 10 years. One of her children wrote about the violence she witnessed in her diary.
He had pushed Mum into the patio door. I grabbed onto his leg to make him stop. Had no luck. As he threw me across the living room floor, I had grazes over the right side of my face. The hitting didn't stop.
It just came to a point where, you know, enough was enough. I had a right to a life, which I understood when I came here. I understood all the abuse that I did suffer.
Do you relate that now to when you see, I mean, obviously you're a member of staff, which is incredible. When women come in, do they realise what abuse they've gone through, or is it after?
A lot of the women just do not realise how much abuse they have suffered, and they tend to think that domestic abuse is a physical hit. You know, that somebody's punched them or hit them with something, and people just assume that that's abuse. the only type of abuse, but there is those other factors.
We describe the women as victims, but actually they're survivors. It's been really intense and overwhelming hearing the stories of bravery and courage, and it really makes you think that if they hadn't have made the decision to come to the refuge, they might not be here today.